Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm joined by Suvi Honkanen.
Hello guys.
We're so happy you're here today. Today we're going to be going through the different types of fouetté turns that you may come across depending on what technique you're in, what style your school is in, or generally what your teacher may ask for. And there's different skills and different things that you need to think about for each fouetté turn. Now for us, we have always really done, especially at Vaganova, the second. Now I did do a touch of the English style at school, did you?
Yes.
Have you done any other type of fouetté before?
I have done the front to side as well.
Yes, front, because again, with the front to side version, you can do, which will show you, plié, staying in plié, pulling in, or plié, relevé in. And when I was at the Royal Ballet School, we actually had choice to do one of those two. So some people did the front relevé in. And for a while, I think I found that one almost easier than the staying in plié. But when we came to Vaganova and we were doing the second in, although it's hard to adjust because you have to think about something different each time, eventually it kind of felt like it was more dynamic and a bit more active and you can go faster.
Yes.
So let's dive in. So Suvi, why don't you show us essentially the first type of fouetté turn? Let's do the front side pull-in.
Front side pull-in.
Yeah. Without the relevé in second,
Okay.
so staying in plié.
All right.
Let's have a look. Really nice, well done. Because I also think with this one, now where do you think, Suvi, you take force from? Where are you thinking to take force with these?
Definitely using the arm.
Yeah.
This kind of like, again, swimming motion. But also the leg gives you quite a lot of force when you are opening it to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the problems that can happen with this one is people tend to not be super aware of the turnout. So what can happen is if you think about opening en face, a lot of people tend to open too early.
Yes.
And then open to the corner, essentially.
And that also means that oftentimes your arms you're not turning all the way around. So you're starting with from here and then you fall that way.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's quite turned in because you can go that like this. And so it actually makes the turn a lot harder and a lot longer. And so I always think about with that one, it's best to focus on not opening the leg devant, but actually thinking about it, opening effacé. Because essentially, if you think about it opening effacé, it's most likely going to open here. So if, for example, this is something to take away with a lot of things if you're trying to correct yourself. So for example, here I'm opening too early. So I'm going to focus on opening a bit later to the effacé, and then I'll open where I want to, you know, and likewise it's the opposite way around. So you're focusing on opening a little bit effacé, 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 rather than too early going to the corner. Now the other problem areas is with the supporting leg. So let's say now I've given you that correction to open effacé and you've gone no problem, but now this side's going like this and you're turning in. So essentially, if we just kind of map it with Suvi, when you've done the pirouette, then I would focus heavily on holding this side back a little bit, the left side. So then as you plie, you're holding that back as you're swimming with the arm and leg, holding it back. So then we've got something now to give with this arm going in for the next one. And then much like what I've noticed with very good turners is when they arrive with the arm and leg in second, it's like this part of your arm needs to really match the knee with the turnout. So you've got to really feel this elbow coming back with the shoulder blade like that. So that, again, just by folding in, you're actually using the back and giving tons of force with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because essentially it's like, instead of just folding the arms in, we're actually bringing the shoulders back more, because these guide you and also help with the force.
Yeah, and if you do like this with that thought, you can feel it in your back muscles a lot.
Yeah, a lot more.
Yeah.
Rather than just folding in
and
not focusing on the back, focus on the shoulder blades coming back, shoulder blades, And whichever direction you're going, whether it's right or left, use the shoulder blade a little bit more. Now, obviously, we're looking at all types of fouettes, but that is something to take with you for every single one. but just remembering that you've got two sides of the body. So holding onto the supporting leg in this particular fouetté is a bit easier than when we go to second, because this is directly to the side and it's super easy to allow this to roll in, which we'll get to in a sec. But just remember, it's always good to hold that side back a little bit as you're going into it, so then you've got something to give for the following one. So that's the one staying in plie, front, side, in. I quite like that pirouette. Like in terms of the Royal Ballet do that a lot, and I feel, although it looks nice, I think it doesn't look as fast as the Russian version. Let's look at the one that goes front relevé in, which I think a lot of, some Royal Ballet dancers do it, but also quite a lot of New York City. And French, yeah. So it's quite popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find that people do doubles with that though? Like, do you think it happens that they come into doubles? Because it's quite slow. It's a slightly slower pirouette.
That's a good question. I feel like you almost need a different coordination for a double.
Yeah. Yeah, like I almost feel like they might
Because it's like a floating, and for fouetté you need tuck, tuck.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, we should check, but I think it might be you do the relevé for the singles and then maybe you stay down for the doubles. Yeah. Show us anyway.
Well, yeah, this one is a hard one for me. I've never done this one.
Let's have a look.
Completely new coordination.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's good. So I think
feels very funny.
I think for that one, the troublesome things can be probably when people go to the side and they pull in, maybe it drops down, so the hamstring really needs to lift. And then it's realizing, where does the force come from? So we were discussing earlier, when you relevé second, if you don't anticipate the turn by slightly bringing that leg and shoulders to the écarté, so making it easier for you to turn, then it's sort of like, where does the force come from?
And stops.
Yeah, so if I was just to do like second in, there's nothing helping me from that second if I just focus on coming in. I need to think about opening to come in. So like I said earlier, you've got to think about, okay, I'll go a bit later with that leg. So we aim for the leg to go more écarté. So you guys watching, you may not necessarily tell that much, only if you're really focusing on me, that my leg has gone a little bit behind before I bring it in, but it's making the turn a lot easier. If I take it, and look, I'm holding the left shoulder back slightly so I can bring it in, but this right leg is aiming to the back corner. You know what I mean? So it's like from there, I aim it to the back corner, so I feel flat in the body because I'm kind of squeezing my glutes forwards, holding that to then give it momentum. So what I also think with this pirouette, before we make Suvi try, is the accent of the turn. So the accent is really very much the hold in second. So unlike when we do double plie rond, where we slightly stay slightly more down in the plie, this is like, the plie almost needs to be like a trampoline. So you're kind of going bump and up, but look, really get that leg strongly to the side, you know, so you kind of feel that energy of arm and leg going to the side before you fold in.
I think my trouble is that I drop it.
So then think about lifting higher hamstring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also I'm not really reaching écarté.
But when you do pull in, it has to be extremely quick.
Yeah.
You know? And you have good sensation of head.
Yeah.
There we go. Don't lean forwards. Back straight. Back straight. There we go.
I got it a few times.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. There were a couple in there.
It's such a different coordination.
Yeah, it's difficult because also you've got to make sure, unlike, this is something I've just noticed, unlike when you do the rond de jambe, you know how people tend to almost roll this in a bit and they roll?
Yeah, that's the opposite.
You can't really do that here. So you need to go one up and it doesn't roll to fold in. You've got to then, from there, just literally open the knee and fold in. And that's where I think we can be susceptible to tilting the pelvis, falling off balance.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So nonetheless, whether you're doing the rond de jambe one, and people, I tend to not do this kind of rolled in attitude look, but if you do that, you can see people kind of fold the leg in and slightly turn it in. I'm focused more on opening the knee, opening the knee. For me, that helps more with connecting to the turnout muscles. Because I find if I do that, then I'm not going to get that force from the glute area that I want, rather than if I focus on that, much like when you do rond jambe en l'air, you feel this helping. Yeah. So now, let's look at the one we know and love, and that's the one that goes straight to the side. Now, when people are first learning this, so in the younger years, it's really slow, and they go very clearly, yeah, da, da, yeah, da, da, you know, back, front, down, super clear. Almost with no sense of force. It's like so slow.
Yeah.
But it really teaches you how to use your turnout properly and how to execute this strong sense of the leg and the arms going together. And because there's no use of leg here in the same way, there's no momentum with the leg, then we really understand how to use the turnout muscles and most importantly, the back. You know, because in the Cuban school as well, they do a lot with the hands on hips. And I think that's amazing for understanding how to use the shoulders and the back. Because pirouette is essentially in your back. And that's where we go wrong. We rely on arms folding and whip of the leg. And without that, can we pirouette, you know? Show us the ones that go directly to the side. Not bad. Relax. Good. Now, I would say when I go to the second, for me, the things that I struggled with were making sure I wasn't dropping the leg. So I would extend the leg and then it would drop down a little bit. So I would think about lifting the leg higher than it needs to be. So when I would fold out, especially because we often do this when we're exhausted, if I think about lifting it as I go out, then essentially it's going to be where I want it to. The same thing is as I fold in, I'm going to think about actually lifting the knee. Now, I think we can do more with the elbow and shoulders. So like sometimes I would watch ballet dancers very slowed down and I'd watch them do fouetté. And it was amazing because I could see they would go second like that. And then I would really see that sensation of the back. So literally they would fold their elbow in like that to help them get around. Almost like someone's pulling their elbow back. So when you go to the side, same feeling as aim it slightly beyond second if you can, so that it's easier for you to fold in. Try not to, we don't want to fold in the knee and turn it in too much. We want to keep it as turned out as possible. And with the arms as well, this will help you. You really pin down the supporting side, especially if you're someone who tends to travel towards the working leg. You need to keep pushing down on that side so you really know where you're landing. So then I would always think about aiming a little bit further behind me, straight to the side, straight to the side. And I'm really coordinating arm and leg, arm and leg, arm and leg as we go out and in. Yeah, so arm and leg, and then when we're using that arm, focus on the shoulder blade coming in. Let's try again. Also, we trained on a slope, you know, on rate studios, which actually helped us, I think, understand this feeling of being completely straight and underneath us. Here we go. That's it, arm more to the corner. There we go, to the corner, towards me with right arm. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that was good. So actually, it looked better when you opened it more.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it helps. So again, sometimes you think you're there, or you think you're in second, but actually you're a little bit here. Open, help yourself. You know, it's all about that. Let's talk as well about the spotting. So some dancers like to look down, and that was very much something that the Russian students tended to do. Now, I'm not sure. For me, I had tried various things, especially when you're trying to get to know what works for you. In the rate studios, if I look down, I don't know, it just felt, it felt like I was falling down the mountain. So I tended to just look straight. But what about you? You look down a little bit.
I look, well, on a rake studio, I wouldn't look as much.
Yeah.
So I would look a little bit down what is eye level. But yeah, nowadays when it's mostly flat studio, I focus a little bit down, because when I look eye level, it starts to take me back.
So I would always look eye level. I didn't have that specific problem, but I think the attraction of looking down slightly was also due to the theatres, you know, and how we would dance in the theatre. You know, it's pitch black in the theatre, and all you can see is a light at the end of the auditorium. And if you look down to the front of the stage, and especially when you're on a rake, you're kind of higher up, so you can look down at the front this way. Whereas if it's on the same level, it's kind of not as clear. But looking down, you could see just a bit more focus, which I think helped a lot of dancers.
Not so in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. So whether you're doing whichever version, rond de jambe relevé, or straight to the side, just know that you're capable of doing any version. It's just, I find it's most useful if you are able to choose your version and then train in that, so you can progress upon it and then get very advanced, add the doubles, you know, add the tricks to it. Whereas if you're constantly changing techniques and changing systems, you can only get so far with that. You know, it's kind of like you're juggling too many balls. You've got to really just focus on one, you know. It's like when we went to Vaganova, essentially when I first got there, I was like, I don't want to change to second. I was doing front, and the teacher was like, no, you must change. But then we get practiced and we get better at it. But before you even think about getting those 32 fouettes, remember, you've got to have the strength to do that. So we have a ton of stuff on the BWI platform for strength of the lower legs and the body, because remember, it's not just about the legs. But one key thing, one key drill you must do is 32 rises, you know, 32 rises, and be able to do that on one leg, not just straight leg, but with plie, on demi-point, on point. And I don't know about you, but I tried to do that like all together eventually, like changing leg, but I would do on demi-point, and then I would do with plie, then I'd do with point shoes. Because essentially we usually do fouettes when we're tired, and you don't want to just be able to do the fouettes when you're fresh. Because when you're fresh, sure, we can all do that, but it's when you're tired at the end of the exam, pas de deux, rehearsal.
Different story.
Different story, yes ma'am. So thank you so much for joining us. Do let us know which fouette you prefer, which one you're training in, and the struggles that you're dealing with those, because maybe we can help. And we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.